Harley, we are 10 days away from Roger Goodell walking across that podium and announcing the picks for the Houston Texans. However, what we are here today, and welcome to episode 6 of Believe in the Houston Texans. I am one part of your co-host, Ruben, Mr. 713, and with me, as always, Harley Dugan, the lead. Buddy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic, man. Just got out of work. I
Okay.
hear this Nick Casario interview. We are excited a little bit, kind of jolted the fan base just a bit, maybe cleared some rumors.
Yeah.
The future may not be as murky as we think, but we got some things to settle. We got some
Some
things to
things to
settle.
settle and let's put out a couple context over the past, I could say, well, 4 or 5 days there is a speculation on whether Nick Casario will be gone after this NFL draft. Today he spoke to the media, and Harley, I'll let you take it from here. How was the Nick Casario press conference?
I will say this, man. In first 30 seconds, the first few, maybe about a minute, he had me in the first half. I'm
I
not
was
gonna lie.
scared.
The tone of voice looked kind of teary-eyed, thanking everyone in the organization. I'm like, oh man, he's really leaving. He gonna leave right now? Like that's what I was thinking. And then the rumors that you had just mentioned, the speculations felt like it was about to come to fruition.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, dude. Okay, I'm thinking, well, I guess James Lipford could be the interim GM for right now until they bring in, which was the other rumors of Adam Peters
Hmm.
from Adam Silver, who covers the NFL. So then had me in the first half, not gonna lie. Okay. Then he gets that paper he was reading off of, thanking everybody, chunks it in the trash, and goes full Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio. All he needed to do was just take a quick line before he said, "I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving." Like he literally mentioned Wolf of Wall Street. This is
Said it was
not.
laughable.
Yes, he giggled multiple times about it, with grins from ear to ear. And then it just went back to business as usual.
Hmm.
I'm the GM. Let me
Hmm.
axe these rumors
Hmm.
and let's move on. Or as Leonardo DiCaprio says in his infamous speech, the show goes on.
The show goes on. I'm
The
getting even
show.
more hyped now that you say it, but no, to add on that first minute, it felt forever. Like
Yeah.
it really did felt like a goodbye. Thank you for everyone. Give
Mm-hmm.
credit to them. It's not all me in this whole draft
Yeah.
process. And now that you know that he is staying, that he himself found it laughable, what was all systems go, and we are back to where we were a week ago, which was we are excited for what the hell the Houston Texans are going to do in this draft. I think with this press conference today, I think we 4 points, right? The first one we talked about, he is not leaving.
Yes.
The second point, there are multiple teams calling for the number 2 overall pick. Now, this had me surprised because it was, are the Houston Texans even entertaining the call? And he himself said, I don't want to say we're open for business, but
Mm-hmm.
we're opening to listening. And when I hear multiple, it's not 2, it's 3 or 4.
Yes. Immediate names that come to mind. You look at number 7,
Mm,
or Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. And then number 8. Those are the two for me. I don't want to move any further down than that.
no.
Number 8 would be the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
And so those are the two teams that immediately I circled and went, this is the sweet spot if you're Nick Casario and the Houston Texans. And then you go and Jair, who, if no one's following Jair, make sure you are. He does fantastic work. No longer with Texans Unfiltered, but he still does fantastic work for them,
Side eye,
for
Harley.
his own self. So he did mention the Carson Wentz trade up between the
Yep.
Eagles and the Browns for 2016, and the Browns getting the number 8 overall pick.
Hmm.
What did I just say? Falcons got 8, Raiders got 7. They got the number 8 round, the 8 overall pick. They had a third in the draft that year, a fourth in the draft that year, a first next year,
Mm,
a second next year.
give me that.
I don't mind that.
Don't
I
mind
don't
it at
mind
all.
that. Give me all that ammunition, because as of right now, you don't have no clear plan at quarterback. Now
Hmm.
they could still, maybe they look at someone between 8 or number 12. Maybe they do that. I'm not I'm not liking it, but one of our biggest needs is quarterback. And there's no clear plan for that right now. And that is where I start sounding very alarmish, like my old fire alarm. Like I that's what I sound like when I start talking about the mismanagement of the quarterback position for this football team.
Just to add on, Locked On, Texans, Cody Davies, he put out an article and he said that according to some sources that they told the Texans daily, that D'Amico Ryans himself is even considering passing up on a QB and getting someone like a Will Anderson Jr. I think when you talk about needs for this Houston Texans team, well, there's needs all over. But
Yes.
when you're talking about the possibility of not taking a potential franchise quarterback, which some people are speculating CJ Stroud to be, number one, that would be crazy. The fan base, we've already seen it. We already see people doubting D'Amico Ryans, right? Let me
Yes.
paraphrase. I've counted 7 tweets today that said, if D'Amico Ryans passes on a QB, then he wasn't the man for the job.
Woo, man. The overreactions,
It's
the
huge.
the hyperbolic statements are insane.
Mm.
And it makes me question your fandom. It immediately makes me question your fandom. This man hasn't been, what, how many months into his tenure as a head coach of the Texans?
2 in under 15 days.
Yeah, so quick math, thank you. What are we doing here? What are
Yep.
we doing here? I mean, if we think that if we don't take a quarterback, we gotta fire D'Amico Ryans. I've never said that, and I never will, because first of all, you didn't hire D'Amico to fix the team in 6 months.
Hmm.
Okay, you hired this man to help rebuild the team. Exactly. It was a five-year contract, was it, or was it a 6 year?
It might have been a 6 year, dude.
It could have been 10, because the McNairs loved
D'Amico.
D'Amico Ryans, and he has that much sway in the building.
Hmm.
I don't have no problem with D'Amico at all if you pass on quarterback. That's what is he supposed to do? At the end of the day, the general manager and the front office are the ones that ultimately make this pick. Yes, D'Amico's going to have a say
Hmm.
in it, and he's going to have something to do with it. But it's not, okay, D'Amico, you're the final say. There's no coach besides Bill Belichick. Besides Bill Belichick, I would
Yeah.
say. Maybe Andy Reid, but who knows? But we know Belichick for sure. There's no coach. That's ridiculous statements.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And it's kind of, like I said, it is ridiculous, but it's kind of like fans at this point just want it to be a quarterback. And
Yeah.
dude, I've been using this quote for you from the past 2 weeks. You said, why am I going to hype up mid? And I'm not saying CJ Stroud is going to be mid, right? I think he could be potentially a good quarterback. But if the Houston Texans are not sold on him, if there's an inch of doubt in your mind that maybe this isn't the guy, man, this is the second overall pick we're talking about here. This is the pick that is going to determine the franchise for the next, 10 plus years?
Something like that, man.
Unless
Something like
you
that.
unless you hit on a QB in the late rounds, right? Which that in itself is hard also.
Yeah.
It gets interesting.
Why am I going to hype up mid? I've said it in my video with the CJ Stroud. And it's not to disrespect Stroud
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. He's general consensus number 2 quarterback, and at some point was number 1 before the Panthers just seemed to
Traded up.
fall in love with Bryce Young. Seems absolute now. So with that said, I have doubts of CJ Stroud, but in my video, I said my doubts can be cleared because of the system that you're putting him in.
That
I've seen
Shanahan
the
system.
Shanahan Kubiak. We've seen the Gary Kubiak system work right here in Houston with Matt Schaub and TJ Yates.
Shabby
Okay.
shop.
Hey man, if you don't have Schaub go down, I am more than confident this team has a Super Bowl appearance at the very least, or they got some hardware right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're celebrating as young high schoolers and gloating and talking all kinds of noise. Man, that would have been glorious. And let me tell you, TJ Yates did a swell of a job. Hey, if Jacoby Jones doesn't muff it, we're having a different story right now. I digress. CJ Stroud should be better than a TJ Yates,
Mm-hmm.
should be better than Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
should be better or up to what Matt Schaub was here in Houston. This guy is the number 2 overall rated quarterback. Schaub was never that. I love you, Schaub. I really do, man. You're one of my fave QBs. Best quarterback ever in Texans history. Wink, wink. CJ Stroud in this system clears all my doubts about him. Go ahead and take him. I have no problem taking
Mm-hmm.
him. I don't because of the system. That's how much respect that I'm putting behind Bobby Slowick and Shanahan Kubiak.
Did you hear the little dig at the end to CJ Stroud that Nick Casario said?
Clarify for me. Might not.
About once we get you in the building, how you are perceived is not really how you are. And a bunch of people were insinuating that was a CJ Stroud dig. One also thing that was interesting was he was asked about that S2 test,
Yes.
and which we know that CJ Stroud apparently did not score very highly in. The quarterbacks who have Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah.
You see the emergence there, right? Apparently Bryce Young has been killing it as well in this test, but he said, "Yeah, we look at that, but we use other tools as well."
Yeah, that to me screamed in layman's terms, CJ Stroud,
Stroud
you are
or
a Houston
Houston, yeah,
Texan. I mean, that's what that meant for me. So yeah, I don't have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
yeah. So then that like I said, QB one of the biggest draft needs, for this team. And I just think the Nick Casario thing, he came out so confident. He came out with with the vest on, right? It's like the vest adds 10 plus to his confidence. And it sounded like this was a Nick Casario who was just ready for Thursday, right? When you talk about trading up, he always loves to say, if we are picking at 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have no problem with it. I like the idea of trading up, especially if you get the certain package that I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
from via 2016. If you get something similar to that, which you should, okay, this is 5 spots, 6 spots. You are moving down. You should get a really, really good package for whatever quarterback that team presumably wants.
So we said quarterback was the first biggest team need. What is number 2 for you, Harley? Because to me, I'm going to stick with the offense.
Mm.
I'm going to go with the interior of the offensive line and go
Hmm.
center.
Hmm.
And here is my problem with center. You might have to overdraft for one.
Yeah.
John Michael Schmidt, Luke Whippler, Joe Tippmann, the top 3, they may not make it to pick 65. That's why when you throw out trading back to the Raiders or the Falcons, I immediately would jump at that because, yes, the Houston Texans can get an extra second round pick and take one of those, highly rated centers. It was interesting in free agency when they didn't sign a veteran when they had all the money to do so. But I think when it comes to the second biggest need, it is the center for this team.
I agree with you, and just because center is so huge for how this system works. Chris Myers was just the backbone of that offensive
Mm-hmm.
line, and helped set up the run game and helped all kinds of things for you, the avenues to open up. And it also helped to have Arian Foster and everyone else that worked with it, you know.
Yeah.
But Chris Myers was a really, everyone's talked about it. Wade Smith has mentioned it. Chris Myers, the center position, is very needed for this offense. And I do agree with you to throw another one out just to disagree because
Mm.
this team has multiple needs. I look immediately at the interior defensive line. I
Mm.
do. I can't even right now. I know you added Sheldon Rankins to the interior, which is a great signing.
Yeah.
Malik Collins, he's played well, but in terms of against the run, Rankins helps that, but you still got Malik Collins, Roy Lopez, Kurt
Mm.
Heinisch. This is the same cast of characters we saw last year. This Houston Texans team really needs to look at the interior defensive line in this draft. I know they got Thomas Booker as well, but we don't know much of him. We
Mm.
didn't get to see a lot from him actually last year. So maybe adding a Keanu Benton from Wisconsin.
Yep.
You know, you hope he's there at 65, or you know, Dexter, I believe. Devontae Dexter from Florida, another run stuffing guy.
Ike from
Siaki,
Baylor.
yeah, exactly. The guy Ika, is it
Ike, I'm
Siaki
sorry.
Ika from Baylor? Not too bad. I would not mind that. I'm really favoring Keanu Benton. That's
Yeah.
my favorite for sure. Mozzie Smith. But he might go. I've seen a lot of top 30 visits for him now. So
Late
he might,
late first round.
yeah, he might be there late first round, unless the Texans, you know, value it that high. I wouldn't like it at 33.
Mm.
I wouldn't. I would very much prefer a center. And if anything, to add on to your point of center, why not trade up from 33 into back into the first round? And if you want someone, I've said it 1,000 times, if
Go
you
get it.
want someone, go get it. I would be a hypocrite to say otherwise.
Sticking to the defensive line, like let me go one position is that edge. Last year edge for you, your bright spot was old man Jerry Hughes.
Mm. Oof.
Um, Jonathan Grenard, who we were excited about, was hurt and inconsistent. We don't know what we are gonna get from him this year. I think edge is very close, to defense as far as what you need to invest heavily in. And that pick 33, right, when it's guys like Will McDonald and Felix Anudike Uzama, it will be very hard to pass on guys. But I think both of our points, it's in the trenches for this team, right?
Yes, exactly.
It,
The trenches is what is the biggest need for this team, whether
mhm.
it's offensively at center or defensively on the interior or the edge. And I mean, you mentioned those two names, BJ Ojolari from LSU.
You,
Uh,
yes,
don't mind that at all. Zach Harrison from Ohio State. You know, if you want to, dip into it later again, I haven't heard the name in a while, but Andre Carter from Army has a lot of potential and
six
maybe
foot
too
five,
much.
long
Yeah,
wingspan,
yeah, maybe too
skinny.
much potential, but
Mhm.
that's not too bad. You got D'Amico Ryans, coach him up. That's why you hired D'Amico.
Yeah.
Coach up guys.
No, like I said, the trenches is important for this team. Outside of those three, because those were my top three.
Yeah,
Wide receiver, maybe you could put up there. I think the Houston Texans, there's even a good chance they draft one, in the
yeah.
first round, potentially pairing a CJ Stroud with JSN. Would you care or would you be upset at all if they took like a JSN at a 12?
If he's there, I don't mind it. I like the value of Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I very much prefer to rather trade down.
Mm,
And the wide receiver class is okay. It's not anything that I'm going crazy for either, but you still do need a receiver, whether it would be Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's many options down there too. A lot of forgotten names. Marvin Mims is one of them. I would not mind Marvin Mims at all. Let's say you trade down, get a few more picks, and use 33 to move, or use 33 actually on the Marvin Mims. I don't
he's a
mind that.
speed demon.
Yeah, man. He's someone that hasn't been mentioned a lot at all. I think that's someone that's very underrated that the Houston Texans could look at. I know our friend Cody Johnson's mentioned Xavier Hutchinson a
Mhm.
lot from Iowa State, a true X receiver, which is something this Texans team needs. There's options there, wide receiver. I'm not upset at JSN, but I would prefer to trade down.
Yeah, no, me, I wouldn't mind trading back to like the late teens, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
If Zay Flowers is there, we'll love to take a chance on the
Oh
Zay
yeah.
Flowers.
Oh yeah.
He is just electric with the ball in his
Ooh.
hands. And just to wrap it up, I think one of the last really needs that they should try to, get in the draft is linebacker. You
Oh
know,
man, I forgot
there's
about
no
linebacker.
youth in the LB room besides Christian Harris, who you think, there's something there. But outside of him, Garrett Wallow, you're not maybe you signed Denzel Perryman, right? Christian Kirksey's still there. So this is a very veteran led, linebacker room. But when you have guys like Jack Campbell in the draft from
Mm,
Iowa, they met with Demarion Overshone from
yeah.
Texas.
Yes.
Think the Houston Texans need to find their Mike linebacker.
Yeah, Diane Henley from
Yeah.
Washington State. I wouldn't mind that either. Linebacker is a group that I actually had forgotten, but to me, I would rank that higher than wide receiver.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
too.
and it's up there with the importance of the trenches as well too.
Hmm.
Linebacker is very needed for this team. I need it. There's a lack of youth and there's a lack of talent at that position. D'Amico's going to take some linebackers. You can guarantee that. D'Amico is a former linebacker. You're taking some linebackers. He might double dip with them too.
No, absolutely. And then, just to wrap it all up, like I said, in D'Amico we trust. So
Of
he
course.
himself, he likes to give credit about Fred Warner, who was a third
Mm.
round pick and now considered one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I think today was a win for the Houston Texans, right? We have something that Nick Casario loved to mention last year, and that was clarity, or after the Deshaun Watson trade.
Yeah.
And the clarity is he's not going nowhere. And just wait in 10 days. Cause honestly, bro, this has been the most exciting, yet I don't know what the hell is going to happen on Thursday. I, I am more excited for this draft than ever. Cause last week we were both saying, let's just get it over with.
It's tough, man. I'm excited about it. I will be there.
Oh, you made the decision.
Yes, I will be there. It is
Okay.
finalized decision, and we're gonna be ecstatic. I'll tell you that right now. We're gonna be a crazy cast of characters. I will let you know that.
I will be there also. We're going to link, Harley. I'm having a great time. We're doing a good job here. This was episode, I think, 6 of
Yeah.
Believe in the Houston Texans. Like I said, 10 days away. You can find Harley. Type in the lead on YouTube. You see his handle there at the lead underscore HOU. Follow me on Twitter at 713HSP and just type in 713 Houston Sports in the search bar. As always, guys, go Houston Texans.